Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to YouTube. This is the Comfy Nest with Grace, and I'm Grace. I live here in North Dakota, and I'm excited to share some creative fun with you today. Hoping we'll get to hang out, get to know each other better, and do something creative and fun. I've a bunch of rice papers that I've chosen from the ones that I carry in my shop, and we're going to create together. So I'm hoping some of my crafty chicks from over on Facebook who normally hang out with me, that you guys will come on over and say hello. And if you're new and you haven't been hanging out with me in the past, I'd love to get to know you. So please, whether you're catching the replay, you're here on the video recording, or if you're here with me live today, it is March 21st, 2023 at about 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. I would love to know that you're here. So let me get the camera onto my table as well so that you guys can see my table. And I'll just see if I can grab some comments to see if anybody's here. No, that's okay. That's okay. I think that it takes, because I'm using StreamYard, I think it takes a hot minute for for things to catch up. But let me just open up YouTube and make sure that this is all working. Yep, it's working. I can see it now. Yep. Okay. Phew. All right. So that worked out well. All righty. So let me show you the papers that I have. So I pulled a few. There are two that I want to use, and I'll decide between them. Maybe you can help me decide if you see one that you like better than the other. So this is one of them. This is a Sargent painting, I believe. This is one of the rice papers that I just think is so lovely. So there's this one, and this is the other one. Oh, I've been really eager to get my hands on working with this beauty. Oh my word. I mean, look at this, you guys. It's so beautiful. Hey, Wendy, how are you? Thanks for saying hello. 'Tis the season for dresses. Well, I have two high school sons, both boys, but my Lennon just went to the military ball this past weekend with his girlfriend, Maddie, and her dress was amazing. First of all, her dress was amazing, but they do something here in North Dakota that we didn't do. I grew up in Massachusetts and we didn't do this, but they have like a procession. I think they call it a march. I don't know. Anyway, they process in front of family. So if before the dance happens, you go to the sports center where the dance is happening, and all the parents and family members sit in the bleachers, and the kids get to process with their date and show their beautiful clothing, especially the beautiful dresses. Excuse me, because I have a visitor. Yes, buddy.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll be live for a little while, so I'll catch up with you when I'm done. He's home early. I don't know. You guys, my family, we've had sickness. Gannon's not been feeling great, so he was homesick yesterday and today. And Lennon had his wisdom teeth out yesterday, so he's home yesterday and today. But then Gannon was feeling better, so he did go to school for a little while today. So all kinds of wacky stuff going on. Oh Lord. Anyway, the procession. Hey Mary. Hi Lori. I see you guys. Hi Gia and Diana. Now all the comments are coming through. Yay! I'm so glad you're here. So anyway, the dresses. I'm all about the dresses with the procession. I love it. I love being able to go and see. And these girls especially put a lot of effort and time and energy with their moms, presumably, or with whoever, their friends or whoever that's helping them pick a gown or a dress to wear to these dances. They put a lot of energy into it. And so I think it's really nice that they get to showcase them. Not just show up for the dance, but they get a chance to showcase them. I actually think it's quite lovely that they do it. So it is dress season. I mean, all the weddings that are coming up and the proms and the dances. And so these are two rice papers that I'm a decoupage queen retailer. And so these are two papers that I've got from Decoupage Queen that I carry in my shop. And I wonder which you think I should use. I'm really leaning toward the lovelies down here with the florals. I mean, the whole shawl full of florals. Oh, my word, these are beautiful. So what I did, this is my process. This is what I would normally do. And actually, I want to say, I'm going to remember this board that we tried to use the other day? With the transfers and the stencils, and one of the transfers kind of stuck on there, and then it it left this shadowing actually, which I really like the effect of the shadowing. That being said, I did sand this down, and I'm going to use this board. And I thought, because we have some excess stuff on here that wasn't supposed to be there, decoupaging rice papers on top of this, or tissue paper or napkins or something, is a perfect way to use a board like this. So we're going to repurpose it rather than just toss it aside and think it's not usable. Let's put some papers on it, because the papers add some texture and is a cover, right, for what's ever underneath. So what I do, and I would do the same thing if I was working in an art journal, same exact thing, except today I'm going to work on a board. What I would do is I usually pick the main thing that I want to use, whether it be I'm, inspired by a paint color, or if I'm inspired by a paper, or if I'm inspired by a texture medium. I usually pick the thing I want to work with first, just based on my inkling, like this is what I feel like doing today, and then build everything else around that. Hi, Debbie. I see you. Hello, hello. Thanks for being here, guys. So I do one and then I do the other. It's like I pick my one focal point, the one thing that I want to work on, just on a whim, on what I'm feeling like creating, what I feel like working with, and then everything else around that. And so it's the paper, it's the dresses that struck me, and I have not had a chance yet to use these. So what I do is I pick out the paper, and then I go and pick the background singers, as I like to call them. This is the star of the show, will be the paper that I choose, the main dress, whether it be one of these three. And then I pick the background singers. And so the things that will sit in the background. And I thought this paper is really lovely and could be a nice thing to put in the background. And I like that if I layer her on top of that paper, with her skin tone being so fair, you get to see a little bit of that brocade behind her. So that's a possibility. But I also got this new paper. This one's called Spring Stripes. And that's a good possibility as a real neutral background for that. Also, this stripe one works really well with these dresses. So this one actually would work with either one of the dresses that I chose. And then for these, as I was going through my papers, I picked out this one, which is really gorgeous. And the tones and the colors are very, very similar. This one I don't have a name. I just have an item number on this one, but these are all in my shop at thecomfynesswithgrace.com in the decoupage section. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this one close by because I may also use this, but I think I'm narrowing my decision down to one of these two dresses and this beauty. You can see, regardless of which dress I choose, I just love these two together. So maybe those are the two. Aren't they pretty, Lori? I also picked one of the Ellen J. Goods. She has a bunch of quotes and sayings on rice paper. So I have this pulled aside as an option, that maybe we'll put a phrase over top this when we get it down on the project. And I'll need to add some paints. So I'll be pulling some paints from my stash as well, or some kind of color medium. It doesn't have to be paints, but most of us who are creating, if you were to answer this question, just in the comments, let me know. Of all the color mediums that you have, which do you have the most of? Do you have more crayons than anything else? Colored pencils, watercolor pencils, markers, wax crayons, inks, paints, watercolor paints. There are so many different supplies that you could pick from that could add color to your project. It's not just about acrylic or craft paints. So what do you have the most of? Because I tend to assume that everybody has the most of the acrylic paints, but it may not be. You may have something more in your stash, something different, some that you have the majority of something else in your stash. Okay, here's our board that we're using. It does come with a hanger. It is a sawtooth, and it comes with a jute hanger. It's pretty simple. I love that it's incredibly rustic. It's chippy. It's chipped. It's actually chipped. Some of the corners are actually chipped. So it's really rustic looking, which I love. And this is what we're going to use. So I think I'm going to use these two papers. And for this, the dress is going to fit on there beautifully. Oh, which one, you guys? Left or right? Left with the flower shawl, or right? They're both beautiful. I'm leaning toward this one, but I would love to know what you think. This, I actually grabbed 2 sheets of this background because I don't know how much of this I'm going to use. But my goal is to cover the surface with some paper and some paints. And then we're going to get her on top of there and add a phrase as well. And I just blend and layer things. I don't want to say on a whim, but it is a little bit on a whim. I've over the years, you know, when you create, especially if you do it in an art journal, creating in an art journal or notebook is so helpful to you developing your own preference or style for how you layer things or what you like to collage or decoupage and how you do it. So I'll always encourage you to work in a book, to grab an art journal. It can be a composition journal from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't even need to be anything super fancy. And you've heard me say that before. It's not about getting fancy supplies. It's about having books that you can doodle in, sketch in, draw in, paint in, glue in, decoupage in, like whatever you like to do. And if you're not sure what you like to do, you just want to explore it, the books are the way to go because you can easily flip pages and do something new on the next page if something didn't go as planned, or if you've explored something and then you want to try and start with a blank page. There's generally a blank page behind it, waiting for you to do something fun on there. Mary says use the one on the right. That's the one I'm leaning toward, Mary. And imagine that. It has some purple flowers. I told you guys, I was not a purple fan, but I'm growing to really love purple. Gia says I have more paint than anything else, but I find I use my Inktense pencils most often. Go, Gia. Maybe because there's no cleanup after. I guess I'm a lazy crafter. Listen, that's all right. If that's when I say on a whim, it's not so much a whim like it doesn't matter, or you haven't considered it before. That's not what I mean. But on a whim meaning following your own instinct with what you're doing on your art and on your pages, whether it be art journal page, or in this instance, we're actually going to do it on a surface. It's following you, what you would love to do. So Gia, if you gravitate toward Inktense pencils, regardless of the reason, that's your jam, girl, do it. You know me on this, I do. Do you, girl? The right one. They are both so pretty. Lori, it is hard to choose. Lori says use the left one. The left one has more of a blush pink tone to it, and this one has more of a gold. And I think both of them will go well with the background. Maybe what we'll do is let's start getting the background on there, because this is a little bit of a whim. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the background. So let's put the dresses aside for a minute, and we're going to start gluing. I'm going to use my decoupage varnish and glue. I'm going to grab my matte. This is the Silky Shine. I'm going to grab my matte bottle for this project because the board is matte. So I think I'm just going to stick with matte. Again, you can find this. Oh, I'm having trouble focusing here. You can find it in my store if you're looking for, but you can use Mod Podge. If you have Mod Podge, use Mod Podge. That's totally cool. You use what you got, girl. Okay. So I'm not going to just glue this down straight. You know me. I'm going to tear, and we're going to put bits and pieces of paper, and then we may add additional color. I would love to say paints. I want to say paints, but maybe I'll grab a pencil. Maybe I'll use Inktense pencils, Gia. I don't know. There is an urn. I think that's what you call it. There's an urn here. Can you see the shape of it now? And it's full of florals, and I would mind having that in its entirety. Because that I can make out. I can make out, like, here's the skinny bottom part of the urn, and then it comes here and goes up, and then it's full of flowers, which is so pretty. So I could stick that over here on the right, but I'm going to rip. Oh boy, she's doing it, girls. Sometimes I look at these pretty papers and I think, oh, what if I mess it up? What if I mess something up here? All right. You can't really mess anything up. It's just creating for the sake of the creative process, and it can be so fun. This will go here, and then we got to get a little bit of this to put somewhere here. And then, you know me, I generally do a little bit of paper and then some sort of color like a paint, and then we'll get the focal point on top of this. So if I put this here, this actually works out really well that the paper doesn't quite fit on the board, because it's just not my style to cover the whole board with one big sheet of paper. I usually do some torn paper and then add the paints around it, or other colors around it. So I could do something like this, or even like that, but I think I'll do something like this. And I'm going to paint, I'm not paint it, I'm going to decoupage it down with the glue, and then we'll dry it. And then I'm going to just sand off the excess, and then I'll have those excess pieces to use for other things. So they won't go to waste. Oh, sure, they won't go to waste. Okay, so let's just start. I'm going to grab some of my varnish and glue and get it on the board. What are you guys up to today? Hi, Denise. Hey, Vicky in Arizona. She's still in Arizona. What's the weather like there? I'm waiting for spring. Patiently waiting for spring here in North Dakota. The days are so much brighter, so beautiful and so bright. But it's still cold here. I think yesterday it was -5 when we woke up. I was like, that does not feel like a spring. Doesn't feel like a spring temperature. All right, let's get this down. I'm purposefully going to go over the edges because I have this white edging. So instead of cutting it, I'm just going to go right over this. And then I'll sand it off. I hope I got enough glue. I should have probably done this in sections. I hope I got enough glue on the bottom. Let me check. Like, I want to reinforce and make sure my edges have enough glue. My edges and my corners. Yeah, that's stuck down there. So I generally go under with the glue and then go over, and it's a varnishing glue. So it's going to give a nice protective coat over the top of your paper so that you're ready to do the next thing. Nice. And actually, look what happened here. That little tiny bit of that pink floral transfer that got stuck on here and it stayed behind. I can see just a little bit of the pink right there. It's nothing. It's not noticeable enough that you know what it is unless I just pointed it out to you. But for anybody else who looks at this project, they're not going to really know what the heck was up with that. Okay. This corner here, I'm not going to go all the way to the top. You could, but I'm not going to. I want to do something a little less expected. So I'm going to come here, but I don't want this straight edge and this white part. So I am going to tear that so that it's a nice raw edge, which is what I like. I like me some raw edges. Okay. Now I know I want it to go like here. So I guess it would be smart if I put my glue here, knowing that it's going to cover, and then knowing that I'm getting the very edge of it. So I know how far to go out with the glue, and then just know I have to fill in everything else in this corner with a little bit of glue. Lots of it under, making sure to hit my edges. I keep touching. I have my little baskets full of my colors over here, and I keep touching it with my baskets with my brush that has all this glue on it. I'll have some cleanup over there in a few minutes. And now my other papers are falling down on me. Challenges of the space. It's like the space challenged. I'm one of the space challenged people. I don't have a lot of room here. All right, make sure to get your edges and then cover your top. You can always lift, like I have a bubble here that I don't like. You can always lift a rice paper. I've never had trouble with rice paper using this varnish and glue. They work really, really well together, so that if you have to make adjustments before it dries, you can still pull it up, reapply some glue or get rid of a bubble, and then put it back down to before it truly dries, because the paper is so sturdy. And the glue is so workable. So easy to work with. Okay. I know it doesn't look like much yet, but we're working towards something. Hey, Missy, how are you? We had rain earlier and now wind. You're not getting a break in California from the rain, right? Major windstorm right now where I live in California, upward of 30 miles an hour. Jeez Louise. We have that. We have those kinds of winds. Gosh, it seems like all year round. All year round. And in the winter, those kind of winds that's where we get the really cold. Like, because if it's 15 below and then we have 30-mile-an-hour winds, then the wind chill is like 60 below. It's crazy. So glad you guys could make it. I'm going to try to do, I don't know if you've noticed lately, but I'm going to try to split my live time between YouTube and Facebook so that I'm able to reach both audiences and use both platforms. There's been a lot of unusual things happening over on FB land, and you guys know I lost my FB page a couple of years ago, completely lost it. And at the time I wasn't able to go live over here on YouTube. So with your help, thankfully, thank you to all of you who supported that, with enough likes, you can then, if you have enough subscribers on your channel, you can then go live. So now that I can do that, I want to split. I want to be more conscientious about splitting my time so that if something were to happen again, don't want it to happen, but if it were to happen again, I'm fully prepared to keep available to you guys just in this location. So that's what's on my mind with that. So if you've noticed, when I send the Telegram app messages out, when the last couple of lives that I've done a couple over on YouTube and a couple over on Facebook. So that's the reason why it's like almost like a security net making. And so it's a couple of things, security net and making myself available to a whole nother audience of people, because I know for a fact there are YouTube users who don't use Facebook and vice versa. So this way it doesn't limit me meeting anybody who's over here on YouTube. And if you're one of those folks, if you're a YouTube user, a regular YouTube user, and you're not a FB user and you're finding me just through YouTube, I would love to know that. I'd be so interested in hearing from you. In the last 2 weeks, many creators have lost their page for a day. Janet, right? Oh, we had a little conversation last night. Some of the girls, some of the creative girls, there's a group of us. So it's Chris Hunter and me and Dina Ray and Christy. And it's Kathy from Royal Funky Junk. And is that everybody? I'm not missing. Oh, Terry from Terry Burton. So the five of us, we get together every other week and we chat about how things are going and what's up. And last night we were like chatting in the messenger. And Chris Hunter was like, we need to talk. So she called us all and we had a little phone conversation about it, because yesterday it seemed like a few of them got goofed up. Sorry for the noise. If this is noisy, I apologize for that. I'm going to try to be gentle, but you can see how fast and easy it is to get that to come off there. Like, look at that. Fast and easy. Fast and easy. So we're just gonna, and you know what I did? I told you guys I needed to change this out. You know what? Brilliant me. I figured out. Instead of changing it, I just flipped the pad, because this comes off of here. It's one of those round circle sanding pads that Velcros onto the handheld thing. And I was thinking, well, I don't even have to go get a new one. I could just flip it. So this was the part of the sandpaper that got heavily used, as you can see. And then I flipped it so that I have like the new, stronger sandpaper, unused sandpaper on this side. Finally figured that out. That was kind of smart. Here we have that little broken chip off of the wood, which I really like. And I would like it to be exposed. If you didn't want it to be exposed, what I would do is just add a little more glue there and wrap that paper over. But instead of that, I tore the paper off because I want that exposed. I kind of like it. I kind of like it looking a little mucked up. Okay. I'm getting bits of sand and paper all over my table. So you're not going to, it's going to be over here. I'm going to hang this off the edge of my table right there. I'm going to hang it off the edge of my table and I'm just going to sand it off there so that all the stuff falls to the floor and then I can sand it up or sweep it off the floor. It's actually much faster too. There. So that's what we have so far. I like the dark spot. I know it's a little unusual, but that's kind of my style. I don't want things to be perfect and I don't want them to be smooth. I kind of like things to be a little whacked out. Yeah. So Janet, who are the folks that you saw got interrupted? I wonder if they're the same people. That would be an interesting conversation to have. Did you, because the girls were telling me last night, and you guys, I was like in my own little world. I had no idea what was going on. Last night, yesterday Lennon had his wisdom teeth out. So last night, I was being ultra mommy time, spending and giving him my utmost attention. He had never been sedated before, and he was put under, for the surgery because he had all 4 wisdom teeth taken out. So that was one thing. So he was a little out of it when he got home. And then the other thing was the pain regimen that they gave him, the pharmaceuticals that they gave him. I'm kind of managing that for him. I did not want him doing it himself because he was a lot of it and I didn't want him taking too much of anything or at the wrong time. So I've been writing down, taking very copious notes about what he's taking and at what time, setting my alarm to make sure that he doesn't miss a scheduled pain med, because my understanding is once you fall behind on your meds, it's really hard to catch up. And then the pain just is really terrible with these wisdom teeth coming out. So I actually got up every 3 hours last night to wake him up, get his pills and wake him up and give him the correct pills. So I've been very focused on the kids, and then let Gannon basically had to do a whole cleanse last night for his Crohn's because he's in the middle of a flare up. So yeah, so I was focusing on my kids last night and not really paying attention to what was going on online. So when they were chatting about it, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Jennifer, who did it happen to? Jennifer who? Who's Jennifer? Which Jennifer, I should say, because it was Stacy from Wilshire Collections was one of the ones that got messed up yesterday. Kathy DiDomenico was another one. Is it from Home Sweet Create? Is that the Jennifer that you're talking about? Because it was a Totally Dazzled person, wasn't it? The girls are saying that the other brand ambassadors for Totally Dazzled that were going live on the Totally Dazzled page, that it was happening to them. These poor girls. Because I know, I don't mean to laugh, but I know the angst of losing it. And then not knowing if you're going to get it back. There was somebody else, though. I thought there was one other person. Oh, Debbie from Studio AZMD. Is that her webpage or her Facebook page? Debbie, it happened to Debbie Rigg yesterday too. So, and when Chris Hunter, when she called and we were all chatting about it from Creating with Chris Hunter, we were talking about it. And I said, now, Chris, did this just happen to you? And she said, no, it happened to me about a month and a half ago. So she had it happen like 4 or 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. You guys, I'm just cutting the white section off because I'm not quite sure if I want to leave this completely square or if I want to fussy, like cut around that in the shape of the dress, like tear out some. I haven't quite decided. I really love the torn edge look. Like I love this misshapen torn edge look. But with this floral being as big as it is, I would only be able to do like where the dark stuff is, the background, right? I wouldn't be, if I want to keep the flowers, I need to leave them intact. So I just thought I'll just cut out the white portion around it just to see how I might want to use this on this page. So I'm going to do a general idea. So let's look at these words and see if there's one set of words that I might want to use on here with this. So I have these, but I also have my own. This is the rice paper you can buy off my site, but this is the digital download that I recently created. Rise Up Beautiful. I was looking at this earlier and I thought Rise Up Beautiful could be a nice, I really like that, the affirmation and the thought behind that statement of Rise Up Beautiful. So maybe let's just look at sizing wise. It might be too small. If we grabbed this one, what would this do? So that sheet of phrases is the one that I created, and it's a digital download you can get on my site. But I do really like that Rise Up Beautiful. And it kind of has the right color tone, though. We haven't added our paints yet. It could go anywhere. You put it in the middle. You could, I don't think I'd put it up top unless I put her over here, because then you'd have that little bit of space there. Most of the time when I create, I tend to put the graphic or the photo on the left and the phrase on the right. That tends to be my go-to, but maybe I need to challenge myself and do it this way, just for the sake of doing something different. That's where those we made art journal prompt cards in the Craft Therapy Club this month. And that's where that comes in, is really challenge you to think of, you pull out a prompt card that tells you to do something that you wouldn't have thought to do on your own, because we tend to kind of stick to the same routine all the time. So let's do this. And I may beef this up somehow. We're going to do this, but I want to put a little bit of paint in here. I don't want that to be stark white. So the next thing is I'm going to grab some paints. Hey, Sandra. I'm so glad you're here, Sandy. You knew about Wilshire Collections too? Yeah, Janet. I think that was the other person. Yes, she was on Totally Dazzled. See, we're chatting about this. Lori says, I remember when I had mine out, my grandma was watching me and I told her I was in pain. So she gave me a pain pill, not thinking. You were really high. Oh my gosh. We're trying to avoid. They gave him 3 pain pills, you guys. I'm going to roll. I'm still here. I'm just going to roll myself over to my paints so I can grab some similar colored paints. I have a really pretty, like, lavender colored paint. This one is called Elephant. So that's like a gray, but this one is called Heather, and it has some purples in it, which might be nice. And I have this one, which is called Aloe. And that might be, maybe I'll work with those 3. Anyway, they gave him 3 pills. I'm going to grab some more purples and maybe another neutral, just like, what color is this? This is called Khaki Tan. That one would be too dark, but we can always mix it with something lighter. Oh, that one's too, well, maybe not. Maybe too pink. I don't know. All right, I've got a bunch of different options here, and purple, because that will pull up the purple from there, and some just really neutral tones. I'm going to start with the Aloe because that one is the one I'm feeling the most. And I'm going to need my glue again, but I'm going to cover it real quick and just put the brush aside for a minute while we work on adding a little bit of color here. They gave him 3 pain meds. One of them is an oxy kind of pain med. It's a really low dose, but he hasn't taken any of that yet. We are trying to do it without that, if possible, which would be nice, right? He doesn't want to take it. He's smart enough to know about what those meds have done to some people. And I know it's in a really controlled environment, but they gave it to us as like, if these 2 pain meds aren't covering his pain, if he's not able to manage the pain, then he would have this as a third option. Well, isn't this lovely? My paint as it came out, I don't know if you can see that. It's supposed to be like aloe green, but it looks like it has some orange in there. What is going on? We're just going to blend that all together. It had some orange in there. I must have hit this nib with something like a different color, because I got some other colors coming there. That is too green. Okay, that brush. It was a used brush. I don't know what I was thinking. It was already dirty. That's too green. right? I don't like that. So hang tight. We're going to just keep looking. This is what I do. I will go back and forth continuously until I find colors that I think might work. This is called Porcelain Doll. What if I mixed a little bit of the Porcelain Doll in with the green? Oh, that's better. The green was too dark. Yeah, Porcelain Doll. That actually looks pretty darn good. So I'm not looking for like full coverage here because I really do like these dark, messed up parts, but I don't want it to be stark white. So I'm focusing on covering the white actually. I may even leave that dark spot the way it is. And that dark spot may even get covered with the dress. I don't know, but if there's a chance it could be seen, I'm going to let it be its beautiful self. Its beautiful flawed self. That's better, the picture on the right. I think so too, Diana. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to do it this time. So I'm going to fill in all the white with some of this Martha Stewart Porcelain Doll to start. And I'm spreading it really thin because I don't necessarily want opaque coverage. I just want the white to not be white. And I'm going right over my paper, right over that line. You can still see the line, but by touching on the paper, it's obscuring it a little bit and it makes it more cohesive, like they're working together. Not as though I put two pieces of paper down and painted a streak of paint in the middle. By coming over on top of the last layer, what you're doing is you're making them part of the same project. You're really making them cohesive. They're part of the same team. They're working together as opposed to separate from each other. Okay, where's my dress? I keep bringing this out and trying to envision how is this all going to work out. I think what I'll do, there's a couple of things we can do. Normally what I do is I really try to blend the focal point into the background a little bit. So normally what I would do is I would place this down and then get these paints over the edge of the focal point so that it leaves the focal point prominent, but I'm blending the background of the focal point paper with the background of the surface so that it looks like it's all part of the same team, all part of the same family. The other option, and I don't do this very often, but the other option is to really accentuate this as being on top of, not blended in with, but on top of. So for example, we could take another paper, like a cardstock, and layer it behind this and make it pop up off of the surface and leave this stuff in the background. But this then becomes even more focal. Rather than being blended into the background, it's going to sit on top. And that makes it even more bold as a focal point, if that makes sense. Because if you can imagine, if I were to glue this down on top of this board and then take my paint and blend and cover up all this dark stuff to blend that dress in, that becomes more part of the background, even though it's still the focal point. I think instead, do something different. What if we made this pop up off of here a little bit more strongly? Okay. This paper that I used for this it's paper that I sell in the Company Nest site. And I think I should have a blank piece of it here. Let me see if I have a blank piece of it. I'm going to take my sweater off too because it'd be getting hot in here. I got to turn off this heat. Hold on, guys. I'm here. I just had to go across the room and shut off I had turned on the gas fireplace. Okay, let me find that paper. Okay, here it is. So this is the paper. It's handmade paper, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. They're all very different from one another with raw edges. This is what I printed the words on. So it's the same kind of paper. Well, what if I use this as a background? I'm just playing here and looking to see. What if I created a frame for her with this paper? Even a partial frame. It doesn't even have to be the whole darn thing. I like the idea of it. So here's what I'm going to do. It's a raw edge paper, so I don't want to use a scissor and get like a complete strong straight cut on the background paper. I want to keep with the raw edge, but it's too big. So I'm going to use my ruler, my cut edge. We made these in the Napkin Lovers Club, and it has a broken edge on it to give us that raw edge look. So let's use this to give ourselves like a broken edge, torn raw edge look. So it's not like a straight cut. Even if I used the straight edge of the ruler, it would give me too much of a straight cut. Now this is really puffed up. It's such a fibrous paper. It's actually pretty cool. I'm just trying to make a little frame for this. I'm going to move this so I get a different cut because it's all different going down the line. The raw edge cut is a little different going all the way down. Okay, so what if I did that? Then this matches. To me, that feels more authentic, and it makes this more special because it's popping it up. Now, the edges on this raw paper, the edges are all done. So the next thing would be to darken up the edges. I'm going to show you what I mean. Can you see how the edges on here are really dark? They almost look like they've been burnt. Really dark. And I would want this to all match, but the torn part is bright because it was in the middle of the paper. So let's just come in, see if we can do this. Let's move you for a minute so I don't do anything bad to harm you, my dear. And we're just going to come in and darken these up. So it matches. You like it? Oh, Gia, you like it? Good. Lori, this is not something, I'm so glad you like it. Hey, Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette. How are you? I'm so glad you're here. I don't usually do this. I usually try to blend my focal point into the layers that I'm using to create the background to make it look all cohesive. I'm going to hit this top too because it's lighter than the other edges. And you know me, I like my corners to be a little bit more mucked up. I want it to look grungy. I like me some grunge. Now, I was thinking about the purple paint, thinking I could use the purple in the background somewhere, but I might not even do that. Like, see how this looks pretty plain? And it's not white, which is what I wanted, but this has a more decorative element to it that matches here. And this here, because it's so plain, meaning it's like unmarked, it's so pure and unmarked. It's not white anymore. I put that porcelain doll on top, but to make it match, it's probably a good idea to come in here and muck this up a little bit like that. And I can follow that through all the way around so that they all have that darkened edge. Oh, geez Louise. I closed it. Oh, I can't get it open. So let's go all the way around and just get this to mimic our homemade paper, handmade paper. It's not homemade. I didn't make the paper. I purchased the paper and I'm selling the paper. Oh, you can get it on in my shop under craft supplies in the shop. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So let's finish through. And when I do this, now I'll look at the whole thing. This is going to be here. She's going to be here. Somehow we're going to get this word over here, and I may have to beef that up a little bit, but that's okay. We'll look at that in a minute. Now what I do is I'm going to look at the whole thing in its entirety, and I can see in here it feels too clean or unmarked. So I'm going to take that same, rather than using paint, here's a color we didn't even talk about, an ink pad to add color. I'm going to come in and I'm just super gently, I'm going to add some marks there, and I'm going to follow all the way through, and we're going to add some marks here. I want them to look kind of random and not with any particular design purpose. I want it to be kind of random, just marked up like the rest of it. Here it looks really bright. That is the paper. That is the rice paper right there, but it's feeling like a bright mark. When you look at the whole thing in its entirety, it's like really bright right there. So let's just take that same ink pad and I'm just going to muck it up in some of this brightness just to make it look even more decrepit. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing up in this corner. Just it's almost like coffee staining it with no coffee. Although, what is the name of this color? It's called coffee. Crazy. You crazy girl. Okay, so this is, you could make this paper doesn't have to be grunged up and look old and decrepit like I'm making it look. You could take a completely different feel and twist on using these papers on a project that looks more glamorous. I'm choosing to go the like complete grunge look here, but I like it. So here again, it's too pure and perfect. So I'm going to take my ink pad. I keep covering it up and then eating it again. And I go over the edges, but I also tend or try to get some of that muck up in the middle too. So I might take that and just run a little bit of it over the middle of it, so it just doesn't look so darn perfect and pure and new. You're loving it, Brenda? Gosh, that little bit of paper added some texture and grunge to it. Now I haven't glued anything down yet, but that's okay because I'm still trying to figure out exactly. I mean, we could put her just right in the center and put that there. What do you think of that? Should we center her? Like that didn't even occur to me until just this minute. If I center her, she really is the main attraction. And Rise Up Beautiful is the sentiment that rises up from that photo to me. Rise Up Beautiful. Or you could still do it to the side and put her here. What do you think? Should she be to the side or center? You go ahead and comment. I'm going to get my paintbrushes in the water. Side or center? You tell me what you think. I'd love to know. I don't think you can go wrong either way. I don't think you can go wrong either way. Let's get her glued down. So you have a few options here. I wonder if she would run through my, I think she's too big for my Xyron. I think she's too wide. I think I'll just use a glue stick. I could use my brush with the wet glue, but it's paper and paper, and so the paper is going to curl up on me. So I think instead I'll just use my glue stick. It works really well. I can get my edges done really well. And the center of her, I'm really confident in this glue stick that it's going to work. I'm going to move all this though, so I can put her down on the table and really load it up with glue. Strong rice paper, easy to add glue stick to. It's just going to get centered on here, so that's easy placement, really. I better stand up though, so I can make sure I'm truly centered. I'm going to try to be anyway. And then I have a little bit of glue on my fingers. I'm going to take this here and use this. There. Paper on paper. And then this paper is thicker, so I feel like it could take a liquid better for gluing this down. So maybe what I'll do is use my art glitter glue around this. But let's see what you're saying. Do we think center or should we put it to the right? Gia says you can't go wrong either way. That's how I feel too. I don't think we can go wrong either way. Okay, but you guys did have an opinion. I got to scroll back and look at these comments. Lori says center. Mary likes it centered. Diana says use it on the side. Janet says to the side. Brenda says center. Gia thinks either way. Hey, Lorena, how are you? Lorena thinks centered. Brenda thinks either way. See, I'm with you girls. Gia and Brenda, I feel like, dang, you can't go wrong either way. Sometimes, when I'm looking down on the board, my eyes straight to the board, I actually get a different perspective that when I pull my eyes up and I look on the screen that you're seeing, I feel like I get a different perspective, and I actually really appreciate looking at it from the screen. If I did it to the side, we would have all this here that's kind of just open, but that's where our urn is. That's where that pretty urn is. So that's not a bad thing, I don't think. And I might be tempted, instead of putting it down here, which feels off to me, I think I'd want it a little bit higher up to fill in some of this space. I don't know. That's what I think I'm going to go centered. I don't normally do this, you guys, but I'm really feeling like that is where, on a whim. Now, if I created this project tomorrow, I may choose to put it on right. Like I said, I don't think there's any right or wrong. I don't think you can really go wrong. I think, though, I'm going to use stickles. Yes, Missy, you just read my mind. I was just going to say, I think, though, once I get this down, I think I'm going to use some stickles on something here. You love the urn. Isn't it so pretty, Janet? Is this a book cover? Oh, no, Missy, this is that board that I tried to use the other day and I messed it up. But Missy, again, pointing out something really, really important. Most of the things that I walk you through and I show you kind of my process on, that the glue's not coming out, you guys. It could be recreated on a book cover. You could do this in an art journal. You could do this on any wood surface, on the front of a notebook. You could do this any way you wanted. Okay, that glue is not wanting to come out. So I'm going to grab this one. Sometimes this one gets clogged too, though. Let's not be cute about it, because this bottle gets clogged too. It's glue. And I always think it sticks to, the glue sticks on the inside. When it dries inside the little hole, that's clogged. See, it's clogged. Missy got one of those glue sticks a while back and it works great. It does work great. It's like the Bond.com for sure. All right, I'm just going to grab, I don't normally do this. I'm going to grab a stencil brush because it's, I think, about the right size. Yep, to get in there. I'm going to squeeze this up so I can see it and grab some of that glue because it's just not wanting to come out. I like my edges to not be glued down. It's just my preference. This paper is really dry, handmade paper, so it's going to suck up some glue. So I'm going to go kind of thick. See that? I'm going to go a little bit thick, and I don't want my edges. I don't want the glue all the way on the edges. I want those ragged edges. I want them to be able to have some movement and not be completely stuck down. So I don't generally go all the way to the edge. You can if that's your preference, but I don't usually do that. I do want the middle to be stuck down. So you guys, tonight we have parent-teacher conferences tonight at the high school, and one of the teachers wants to meet us, one of Landon's teachers. So we're going to do that. And Landon's going to nationals for DECA, for the competition that he got first place at state level. So he's going to Orlando with the team for a DECA conference. So I want to meet with that teacher tonight during parent-teacher conferences. And tonight, both of my boys, I better stand up so I can see this. Both of my boys, you guys, I can't even believe it. They both were they're getting inducted into the National Honor Society tonight. I'm so proud of them. That was not something I achieved when I was their age. I did not have the grades for that. my two little smarty pants boys. They're both, I'm so proud of them. Anyway, I don't know that Landon will go with his teeth, but we're going to go and watch Gannon get inducted into the National Honor Society tonight. And I suppose maybe they'll let Gannon go up and grab his brother's stuff. I don't know. You guys, how pretty is that? Rice paper, decoupage rice paper. If you haven't tried it, if you don't know much about it and you want to give it a whirl, head on over to thecomfynestwithgrace.com and go into my shop, go into the decoupage papers, supplies, and glues, and grab up you'll find this, all of these papers are on my site. But even the board is on my site. This is on my site, the printable, the creative download printable. You'll find all of this. So even the glue. Now, let's just decide. I could do it right over the edge. I think I'm going to go up a little bit off the edge, like so that this is exposed because it's just so darn pretty. I think I'm going to go like this. And I thought about putting this on the cardstock or something, but I don't even think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to like it just the way it is. I'll get it nice and glued up because I don't want it to come off. Rise Up Beautiful. And this is where I feel like I should put some stickles. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this, you guys. Okay, remember the other day? Where are they? They're here somewhere. Just kidding. You see me looking around. They're here somewhere. Where are the tags that we did? Here they are. The tags that we did the other day with rice paper. And it's the same digital download. I used the same digital download words. Do you remember these that I made the other day? Oh, happy day, transform, and renew. And what I did, it's just something I love to do. I don't know why, but I love to just put a little bit of that gold stickle around the word. I wonder if you can see it better. There's one. You can see it on the transform. If you just look at these two corners, I don't go around the whole word. I don't know why. It's just the way I like to do it. But I like to add a little bit of stickles somewhere on here, even though it's super rustic looking. I think, especially with this glamorous dress, a little bit of gold stickle somewhere would be beautiful. And you could do it wherever you want. Like Missy suggested putting some in the urn. You could put some in her dress. Like, maybe on her dress, she has like this little, it looks like a little, like almost a ribbon. And it's a gold. Almost looks like a ribbon that goes very lightly around her waist. So we could take the stickle and just kind of highlight that really softly. I don't want it to be like, bam. I just want it to be like, just like a little soft, catch your eye and make you look twice line of stickle. It's not a ton of sparkle. Okay, so I just did it on this line on her waist on the dress. I'm going to try to catch it. Yeah, there it is. Can you see it? And now I'm going to do like I normally do. I'm going to do my words. And I think I'm going to go this corner and this corner. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's on a whim. It's whatever I feel like doing today. That's what I'm going to do. And like I said, if I were to create the same project tomorrow, I may make different decisions based on what I'm feeling tomorrow. So there's no right or wrong. It's don't put, when you're creating, I hope you don't put a whole lot of pressure on yourself to make the right decision, because there isn't any. It's just, what do you feel like doing? What does your heart feel good about? What to your eye looks good or feels good today, and do that. And tomorrow you can recreate something different and make different choices. Every time you do that, you're developing your own style, your own flair, your own personality with creating. And it's just fun. It's just plain old fun. All right. Now, stickle stays wet for a very long time. So be careful not to put your fingers in it. But I just added a little bit just to this corner. I framed out this corner and this corner. Very little bit, just a little line. And with the way that I use stickles, this stinking bottle, which again, you can get on my website in the shop, this stinking bottle will last me years. because personally, I'm not using a whole lot of it in any given time. Stickles comes in a bunch of different colors. There's reds, there's pinks, there's blues, there is purple. I do have a purple. So if you really love color and you want the color to really like pop off of your page a little bit or your project a little bit, you could even incorporate some colorful, like I could add some purple into the florals. It's just not my style. I don't normally do that. I just kind of add a little bit of gold here or there on a project like this that makes a lot of sense to me, but it's really subtle and subdued. It came out so pretty, Lori. I'm glad you like it. Hey, Miss Christy, you guys go hang out with. Hey, Christy, do you have a YouTube channel? I don't even know, Christy. Christy is one of our crafty sisters inside the Craft Therapy Club. She was also in the Napkin Lovers Club, but she has her own business page and she goes live regularly and she shares phenomenal projects. So you guys should go follow Christy at Funky Junk Inspiration. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you guys like it. I will take a photo. I'm a little bit behind. I mean, normally as creatives, we create a project, we share it, you know, either like for me and my membership group, or I share it with you guys here on YouTube or Facebook. And then after we share the video, we like to take the photo and say, hey, did you see what I created? If you didn't catch the video, you can catch it here. It's a great way to help you guys find the videos of the projects that you may have missed. But I'm a little behind on that. I have to get my tags done. I think there are 3 projects waiting for photos to be taken. I got to get my tags done. I got to get this one done. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this so much, you guys. And you saw how simple that was. There wasn't really a whole lot to it. I'm so glad you were here to witness it and hang out with me while I created it. For those of you that are coming on, if you're catching the replay, please say hello. Let me know that you're here so I can say hello back and welcome you. Hey, Phyllis. For the rest of you that are here with me live, thanks for hanging out with me during some create time. No late night crafting tonight because, like I said, I'm going to parent teacher conferences, and then we have this induction for the National Honor Society for my boys, which I'm so proud of them. So you guys have a beautiful, blessed night. Those of you who are looking forward to late night crafting, you can obviously watch this video and hang out with me that way. You guys take care of yourself, and thanks for being here. I'll catch you next time.